I'm LB,
And I'm your girl, Letti.
and let's talk boxing.
All right, so let's talk about Brandun Lee's and Zachary Ochoa's fight. What do you think about it?
Ooh, when I first, ever since the press conference and the weigh-in, I've been excited. I was excited to watch the fight. Zachary Ochoa, he had that. It looked like he had that eye of the tiger. Like, look, I'm here to fight. I'm here to bang. Right? He had that, and then so I was excited for this fight. Then as soon as the fight started to go, it didn't look like that was the same type of fighter in the ring. But he did give us some spurts. But I think Zachary Ochoa had a good game plan for what he was, for what he was capable of, being in there with an explosive puncher like Brandun Lee. Brandun Lee, in the beginning of the fight, oh man, it was just a beauty to watch. He was cutting off the ring. He was staying sharp. He was showing the explosiveness that he had, but towards the end of the fight, towards the later rounds of the fight, you could tell that he was getting frustrated, whether it be, because, the guy was being, he wasn't really engaging him trying to fight. He was using the ring a lot, throwing one punches, and it looked like he just got tired of it. And, this was Brandun Lee, I believe all of his fights have been, all been knockouts. So this was the first time that, he's gotten in these rounds, and so it looked like he was kind of getting bored in there. But so I think that it was a great matchmaking, because I think this is exactly what he needed in his career, because you're not going to knock everybody out like that. So I thought this was good matchmaking, and he can definitely go back to the drawing board and work on some things. But what did you think about the fight?
I mean, I thought I had Brandun Lee winning for sure, and I honestly thought it was going to be a knockout. I thought it was going to be an early fight. But the way Ochoa just kept moving around that ring, it just wasn't going to happen. And we kept wanting to see him go to the body more to Ochoa, but because he was such a fighter that just moved around just too much, it was hard for him to get to the body. I mean, for sure, Brandun Lee was frustrated being in that ring, because I was frustrated seeing Ochoa move. I understand as a fighter, you got to move around the ring, but at one point, that's all Ochoa was doing. And like I said, you can't win a fight just by playing defense and not offense. He was moving around way too much on that ring. But I guess his game plan at some point, I think he knew he couldn't win that fight, so that was the only way to stay alive in that ring. And the way his coach, if y'all heard the coach outside on the ring just coaching the shit out of Ochoa, hey, it worked. It worked, because Brandun Lee did knock him out. It was a cool little fight. It was like, different for Brandun Lee. I think he also did need it, something different than his other opponents. But Brandun Lee was definitely frustrated to a point where he was just hands down, just walking Ochoa down, just walking him down, like, hands down, come fight me. But Ochoa kind of backed off a little bit. But towards the end of the round, I think the last two rounds, Zachary Ochoa then started coming forward a little bit more, because he knew he had two more rounds left, I think. But it was a cool little, learning lesson for Brandun Lee.
It seemed like, it kind of seemed like that was the game plan. Like, okay, because in the beginning there was a little bit more action. It almost seemed like the game plan was like, all right, we're gonna bang these. We know we can't bang with them for 12 rounds. And it almost seemed like, all right, we're going to bang with him in the beginning, and then after that, we're going to use the ring and maybe get him a little tired, and take some steam off his punches, and then we're going to stand and fight. And they did stand and fight the last two rounds. They took the last 2 rounds, and I'm glad you touched on his coach, because that was really a cool thing to see.
That might have saved Ochoa from a knockout.
And that was so cool to see a fighter and the trainer just so in sync, because he was really listening and doing everything his coach was saying. And it was cool because, a lot of times when there's so much of a crowd there, we can't actually hear what the coach was saying. So that was cool, just to hear, what type of coaching, he was actually doing. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool. And honestly, it saved Ochoa.
You definitely saved it.
So what would you like to see for Brandun Lee next?
Definitely, after seeing how, he got bored with the 10 rounds, I definitely don't think he's ready for that title shot yet. I know he's planning on a title shot. He's been talking about a title shot. Me personally, I know he has the talent and the skills. I just think he needs another one of these fights where that's going to go the distance. You know what I mean? just so he can correct that. I want him to correct that.
But do you think he was bored with it being full 10 rounds, or was it because of Ochoa running and not fighting him?
I think it was a combination of both, but you know, he's gonna come across. You know, a lot of the. I mean,
there's not too many runners like that.
I mean, it's not really necessarily the runner. I mean, he's gonna get. There's people that's gonna use the ring in box, and you know where he's not gonna be able to hit like how he wants to, and he's gonna be getting hit more. You know, and then that could be even worse. You know what I mean? As far as
Or they might, another fighter might see that as a weakness, and they can see how he gets bored if you move around too much.
Yeah, but regardless, he should be sharp in there regardless. Because then he was throwing wild punches regardless of you're in there running. You don't need to get sloppy like that because you don't need those mistakes because then that comes back to haunt you when you're, you know, that's kind of how I feel.
I think though he was just doing those wide open hits just to make Ochoa feel a little more comfortable to try to like think he can get a good easy hit on him. Yeah. Kind of trap him, but I mean, we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah. All right. So, you know, just taking a look at the rankings at 140 so we can kind of match him up. Names that jump out. He's definitely, I don't think he's ready for Josh Taylor. You know what? Believe it or not, Sandor Martin. I see he's number 4. I think that would actually be a great style matchup. He was the one who I believe upset Mikey Garcia. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he's a boxer and he moves and he uses the ring, but he's more active. So I think that would actually be a good matchup. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to worry about, you know, I mean, the matchmakers won't have to worry about too much coming back. You know, but it's definitely a style that moves, and he's a boxer and he uses the ring. And he's been in there with Mikey Garcia, so to knock him off, that would be a great notch on the belt. So I mean, just looking at it, that's good. We also got Jack Catterall. I wouldn't make that yet because Jack Catterall stayed sharp for 12 rounds against Josh Taylor, and a lot of people thought he won. Me being one of them.
I thought he won as well.
Me being one of them.
Me too.
What do you think about Jose Pedraza?
I know, that's the one I was thinking. But, I mean, he did not, that was another runner, kind of.
Yeah, but he punches too, though.
He did, but he didn't against Jose Ramirez. He held out a little too much with him. Yeah. But that might actually be a good one, to see him fight against him.
But I would say I like the Sandor Martin for him, honestly.
It's a good combination.
Yeah, and the other names that we named are I think are tougher fights. And so I think that right now, for the development stage, I would say the Sandor Martin makes the most sense. And it has nothing to do with if I think Brandun Lee is more talented than those other guys I named. I just think that this would be better.
It'd be a good matchup.
Yeah, good matchup for him right now in his career. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
And catch us on our next episode of Let's Talk Boxing.